Fitness Sports Center, we go for a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 4 matchup between the Tennessee Vols and the Oklahoma Sooners. Two teams off to strong starts. Tennessee is arguably the hottest team in the country right now, ranked 6th in the country, 3-0. They're taking on Oklahoma, a team that's got a chance to be a national contender. We'll be going for a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. So with that, let's get started. Both teams 3-0 on the season. Tennessee took care of Kent State, no problem, 71-0. They scored 65 in the first half there. This is as hot of a start as I've seen a team have in a very long time in college football. I mean, for Tennessee to put up 70 on Chattanooga week 1, beat a ranked NC State team 51-10, and then to beat Kent State like they did this past week, Tennessee is a legit national contender this season. Honestly, I mean, I've got them ranked 4th in my top 25. They're 6th in the AP poll, but either way, they're very deserving of the attention they're getting right now. Oklahoma on the other side beat Tulane 34-19, once again 3-0. Oklahoma hasn't been quite as dominant so far this season, but this is a team that's got a very high ceiling. I wouldn't be surprised to see them as a big college football playoff contender this season, despite obviously a really difficult schedule. Games will be on Saturday in Norman. Kickoff is 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This is Oklahoma's first SEC matchup. It's a pretty big challenge, but for Oklahoma to have the home field advantage in a night game, that could go a long way for the Sooners here. Spread's going Tennessee by 7.5, over under 57.5, and FPI going with the Vols as well, 71%. So Vols are a decent favorite, really, as you would expect. Series history, Sooners lead at 3-1. Saw these two teams play each other back in 2015, where Oklahoma did win. That game was in Knoxville. There was a home and home there, and Oklahoma won both games back in 2014 and 15. Your stat comparison: Tennessee is the top-ranked team in the country in points per game. Obviously, it makes sense why. I mean, for them to score 69 in week 1, 71 this past week, and then 51 on NC State. They are the top team offensively as of now, and their defense is 3rd in the country in points allowed. I mean, it's insane the amount of points they've scored. They've only allowed 13 points so far this season. This Tennessee team is, NC State's the best team they've played. Otherwise, they played two pretty poor non-conference teams. But, I mean, this is the first true test we're going to see for Tennessee, and this is obviously a much different team than what they faced against like Kent State or even NC State. Oklahoma's a much better team, I think, than NC State is this season. And, I mean, they're 2nd in rush yards a game, 43rd in pass yards, and then defensively 2nd against the pass, 6th against the run. As for Oklahoma, 32nd in points per game, a balanced team overall, 19th in points allowed. This is the 103rd ranked pass offense in the country. Jackson Arnold, not a bad start, but obviously there's still, it makes sense. He's still a younger quarterback, a bit inexperienced. I feel like he's going to get a lot better over the course of this season, but obviously just a few bumps in the road here early on in 2024. But the running game, not too bad. I mean, he's also ran for over 150 yards so far this season, which is pretty good. And then this is a strong team, especially against the run so far, 17th in the country in run defense. The recent matchups, mentioned Tennessee's blown out each of their opponents. NC State was ranked 24th when the Vols beat them 51-10. Otherwise, you look at Oklahoma, beat Temple 51-3. Beat Houston by 4, kind of a close game there. Houston is, I wouldn't say, a very good team this season, so for that game to be as close as it was is, I would say, a little bit concerning. I feel like Tulane's halfway decent, so 15-point win there isn't bad, but bottom line, you look at both of these teams, I mean, so far this season, it's no question Tennessee has been the more impressive team. Your key points: this Tennessee team has a combined score of 191-13 through 3 games. That is just an insane stat to me. I mean, that just goes to show just how dominant of a start this has been. And I said it before, I'll say it again. This is a much different matchup than what Tennessee has faced so far. Chattanooga, NC State, Kent State, whatever. Those 3 teams are much different than what they're going to be facing against Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a much better team, and they should pose as a much bigger challenge against Tennessee. So, I mean, for the Sooners being a team that's also 3-0, but their 3-0 feels a lot different just because they haven't been quite as dominant as Tennessee. But we're going to learn a lot about both teams in this matchup, where You got two really strong, talented teams facing off, and for it to be in Norman as well, I mean, that could go a long way, I think, for the Sooners here. But I mean, for Tennessee, though, it's undeniable. Yamal Davis had a really strong start. For him to be he's still pretty inexperienced, and for him to be playing at the level that he is extremely impressive. You got two quarterbacks that are very experienced. Jackson Arnold on the OU side, kind of not a bad start, obviously, but obviously a few bumps in the road, which are to be expected with younger quarterbacks. But I mean, at this current point, though, you look at both teams. I mean, when both sides of the ball click, both teams are extremely dangerous. We have seen both sides click for Tennessee. I feel like we can see something similar happen for Oklahoma as well. It's just a matter of when. But for Tennessee, this is, I would say, a team that's emerging as a true national contender. I've got this team ranked 4th in the country right now. Honestly, you could have an argument to bump them up to 3 over Ohio State at this current point. And down the road, obviously, I mean, this is the biggest challenge that Tennessee faces for a few weeks. Of course, they play Alabama there in 3rd Saturday of October, and then obviously Georgia on the road there in November, just a little bit down the road. But for Tennessee, this is their first true test of the season. And I mean, same for Oklahoma as well. The Sooners being at home, a strong team despite not as dominant. And this is obviously first SEC matchup. And I mean, which the SEC just being as stacked as it is this season, I mean, 6 of the top 7 teams in the country right now are in the SEC. So it's just so tough to stand out if you're Oklahoma in this situation. This is a massive opportunity for them, being kind of one of those background teams in the SEC right now. I mean, if you can take down a Tennessee team as hot as they are at this current point, that would go a long way, I think, for the Sooners this season. So with that, let's get a prediction for Tennessee and Oklahoma coming up here in week 4 of action. A big SEC matchup early on in this season, and in the end, I'm going with the favorite. Going to go with Tennessee here, 34-27. I just think Tennessee right now, as hot as this team is, how impressive they've been so far this season, I feel like they're going to win this matchup. It's just a matter of how much. And I feel like Sooners, something tells me that they're going to keep this game close. Although I will say, if you compare the way that both teams have played so far this season, you would probably think that Tennessee is going to win this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns. But I do think Oklahoma finds a way to keep it close. A night game in a really tough place to play, especially at night. I feel like Tennessee it's going to be a tough environment for them, but I do think the Vols find a way to pull off a really nice SEC win here in week 4. But with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that. And I appreciate you guys watching as always. My name's Evan. This is All Sports Central. Stay tuned for more. We'll catch you on the next one.